Welcome to the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. My name is Rita Perez. Hello. I've been a travel advisor for over 10 years and am navigating this winding road of entrepreneurship with you. I created this podcast because I wanted to share all the things I've learned from leaders both in and out of our industry that I really wish I would have known way back then. But alas, the important thing is I'm aware of them now, and I want you to be too. Ready for this week's show? Let's jump in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Really excited to have you here because we are going to be talking on a very important subject that is not important just in everybody's lives, but especially here in the travel industry. And Courtnie, welcome so much to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here as well.
Yes, no, this is especially in light of everything that happened last year. And just even like what I had mentioned to you a couple minutes ago when we got on, starting a travel business and not having something as simple as diverse images available. Like this is a topic that needs to be talked about. More people need to hear it and more people need to be able to do little things to kind of like move the needle within themselves and their businesses.
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your point where you are in your travel business and how you help other travel businesses with diversity?
Yes, so I'm Courtnie Nichols and I'm CEO and founder of Travel Bash Corp, which is, I have two divisions, Travel Bash, which specifically focuses on clients who are planning weddings abroad. It's my destination wedding concierge. And then TRVLB, which is my luxury travel design boutique that focuses on it's a high-end, high-touch, affluent client, capped, small amount, multiple trips throughout the year. And then I recently launched Compass Collective, which is what we're going to be focused on today, a consultancy for travel brands looking to diversify their marketing. Really kind of what you mentioned, they're ready to move the needle. They're ready to, how do we get in front of more people? What changes do you see we need to make? Kind of one-on-one, some consulting, workshops, and that type of thing. So yeah, I got a lot of things going on.
Yeah, there is so much, and I know we only have a short amount of time. So we're kind of like just thinking real quick, what are some areas that you feel are really lacking in diversity that us as travel advisors or that travel suppliers can really be like making a large impact now?
Yeah, so let's just start with what you said, the diverse images, like marketing. Marketing is huge. This is what we utilize when we're talking with clients, when we're working with brands. This is how people see like, okay, does this fit my values? Does this look like me? They've done a study, 76%, it might be 78%, 76 or 78% of people book accommodations. And how they book is when they go to a website or they're working with someone, if it resembles them or it looks like them or they feel like they're a fit, then they're going to book. So basically starting at the core of what we do of selling travel, if our clientele doesn't feel welcome or doesn't like, oh, this doesn't fit or this isn't for me, then they're not going to buy, if that makes sense. Right. So like diversifying marketing, looking at images that are inclusive of who we serve or who we want to reach. That's the number one thing. I mentioned to you earlier before we started recording it. That's kind of like the makeup. Those are like those quick things that, oh yeah, we can switch up our website or we can look at Instagram and make our feed a little bit more colorful, those type of things. But even if we dig a little deeper, there are things as far as representation. When we go to conferences or we're familiarization trips and our BDMs, the employment, the hiring, the people in the roles that really help us and move the needle, like and on the executive level, those are the people we need to be looking at. And is that representative of the people that we serve? Does that make sense? So like right now in this space, we haven't done a great job. A lot of the executives, higher ups, they're white, they're male. Right. So let's look at that. What does that mean? How can we change that? So then I always say employment representation. Again, conferences. Who are the speakers that we're hiring? Do they all look the same? What about the media personalities? If you've turned on the Travel Channel or you've looked at influencers that afar travel and leisure, and again, this is pre-COVID. Obviously, they've come full circle. Like now I'm seeing covers of biopic travel influencers or content creator, but before they weren't doing that. So what I'm saying is, like, in the media, who are they looking at as the experts? Can they look like me and you? Like those are some other opportunities for us to do better.
Right. No, and I think you make a really great point, because I feel like I'm kind of like in the middle, being a Hispanic woman, but being a very light-skinned Hispanic woman. Mm-hmm. There are things I did not realize myself. Yeah. So I am also trying to help improve how I can be a better advocate there. And like you said, there are certain things, like there's certain brands who you can see are actually putting in, they're not just saying like, oh, here's a pretty picture. They're putting in the work, and they're really changing. Like, I remember when Arnold Donald was first announced CEO of Carnival Corporation. I'm like, oh, this is changing. Like, this is making like huge strides and impact, because, when I first started in this industry 10 years ago, like you were saying, it was all old white people. And it's not that we're saying like no old white people, but there is more out just in the world than just old white people, and they have to be represented as well.
Yes, I totally agree. And then taking it even, let's look at it from a different point of view, and or not just specifically representation. So when I go to travel, when I go to a hotel, I don't know if you've noticed, or things that you might use in your room. They usually have the shampoo, the conditioner, the lotion. Well, I can't use that shampoo on my hair. What about, they always have a blow dryer, but have you ever been to a hotel that has a flat iron? I use a flat iron, so I pack that. But look at those things. Those are little simple things that hoteliers can change. Oh, well, I can't use this lotion that's like water. Her skin, like, she needs something. I'm not saying that we need cocoa butter and like shea butter, like, but I can't use that. Or the shampoo and conditioner, I can't use that on my hair. Or maybe, oh, they've been in the pool or they've been out and gotten their hair wet. We need to give them a flat iron. Those are like little things that people don't think of, because they're like, why would we need a flat iron? Or, oh, I didn't know that she couldn't use that shampoo or conditioner. Yeah. But that's another step in your toiletries, the things that you provide your customers that are experiencing a destination and or your hotel, an event. So that's another thing that you probably didn't even think about, like, oh, shampoo, conditioner.
No, yeah, no, and that makes me think about too, because my niche in my travel business is a lot of cruise events. And that's like, even thinking about amenities and like even the people that I work with to bring something like that up. And how are you going to be more inclusive to the attendees that are coming to these events? I would have never thought of that. And that's why these conversations need to be happening, because I don't have that experience. And I know for me, I'm like, well, at the same point, and you can call me out on whatever, it's kind of like, well, how do I get that experience? Well, you need to start following people who don't look like you.
Yeah, expand your circle. Yeah, I always tell people, look at your first, like, we always say the first circle is our friends and family circle.
Right.
Look at our friends and family, and then take a step further. Okay, then our neighborhood, because a lot of times we hang out with people that look like us, or they enjoy the same type of things. We're like-minded, like, oh, we're both traveling, we're going to hang out together. But like, no, take it a step further. And what I always tell people, especially being a Black female circle, and the reason why is because for me, I've had to be a chameleon in certain, like, I've had to be this person with this group and that person. So like, we learn how to like weave ourselves through things to help us move further along. Does that make sense? Like,
it does, because you're not the first person I've heard say that. And I think that is the whole different privilege with someone who is like me, who can pass as a white person. And that's why these conversations need to be had. How can I be more empathetic, but also kind of like demand the change?
Right. So one thing I also say to be an ally, ally is like one of those trendy top diversity is trendy, inclusion is trendy, like being an ally is trendy. But really the best thing I always tell people they can do besides being themselves and authentic,
Mhm.
but when they're on a fam or they are top sales and a BDM or a sales manager or a hotel rep company or someone reaches out to you, bring someone along with you. Does that mean like, so now we know each other. So now when someone's like, hey, I'm looking to be on a podcast. I'm like, oh, do you know Rita? Like, that's my girl. You need to be, like bring somebody along, get more people. So now I'm like, Rita, have you talked to her? Have you talked to him? Da-da-da. Like go down the list. So then it's just like a fam. When I look at the fam and I'm like, no one looks like me. Okay.
Mhm.
So everyone on that fam should be like, hey, we're on this fam. Everybody kind of looks like it. Like, what are you guys doing? How do you choose who's going on this fam trip? How does someone get to be on that maiden voyage to go on this cruise line? Like, who are you getting? And by the way, I have 2 names. They should definitely be included. It's giving them access, giving them an opportunity. And I never like to say a hand out, say a hand up. Like I always say,
Yes.
bring somebody with you. Yeah.
Right. Right. I really love the analogy of like you see the person who's like trying to climb up and then the person from above trying to pick them back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel a hard space too where I feel certain people may feel attacked. And I think in that space you need to kind of take a step back. It's not that you're being attacked.
No,
There's
not
a
at all.
learning opportunity here and there's an opportunity of growth. And like I need to learn. I need to do better and be better. And this is why I want to have these conversations. So instead of kind of like having these conversations, what can somebody like myself actually do? And I know you were talking about like take people with you along the journey.
Yeah. I would also say education, because even myself, yes, I'm a Black female, but diversity is more than just Black or white. It's, disabled, also LGBTQ, like diversity encompasses, there are people that travel with autistic kids. Do we know about, places, hotels, tour operators that work with autistic kids, families, adults, disabled? Like there's some resorts that there's no elevator. You either have to go up the steps or like we need to educate ourselves.
Right.
What does diversity inclusion really mean? And not just think it's a Black or white or like you versus me or this. All of us together as a community. And again, being better so we can serve those around us. So I would always tell people the first thing is to educate yourself, get in clubs, join organizations, read up on information, sign up for newsletters, host agency reviews, go to WITS, Women in Travel conferences, like there's so many resources out there. Like I could literally give them to you. And after this, you can post them or share with people that are listening. But just get involved and be open and willing to listen. Like you said, like, don't feel attacked or don't feel like, well, why is it all, like, no, this is a learning, this is opportunity. Pick up a book, like call a friend. Maybe you have a friend that doesn't look like you and be like, hey, I didn't know this was happening. Or like, forgive me. Like I should have called or I should have asked questions, like just be open and willing. So the first thing, again, I hate to like harp or beat a dead horse, is the education. Then it's one of those things, once you know better, you do better. So then when you're in situations where you have a little influence, or like you have a podcast, sharing your platform with diverse travel advisors or hoteliers, people that might not have the platform. Also, again, when you're in these top sales fam trips, or you have the opportunity to meet with higher ups, making sure you're mentioning some of these things. Again, authentic. Now I can't say it. Authentically, of course. Yeah. But again, also being mindful. I always tell people another quick thing is do a quick search on your website. Go to your website and be like, if I didn't look like me, would I feel welcome? Is there anything on my website that makes you or makes me feel like uncomfortable, or like, whoa, this is really not speaking to the people I want to serve? That's a quick thing. That's a quick fix. Like, go to your website. Maybe it's the messaging, maybe it's pictures. And then people say, well, I don't have diverse pictures. So that might be true, but guess what? Just like you invest in your business, if it's important to you, you'll invest in photos. And that means you might have to do a photo shoot. You and say, hey, I love your work. This is great. Like, do you mind if I use this to share? I'm really trying to diversify my clientele and I love what you do. More times than not, they're going to say, yeah, sure. Use my pictures, this, and that. Like, you've just got to be willing to go out and ask and do, kind of do the work.
Right. And going on that point, and I guess this is kind of like a personal question for me too, is there some sort of like diversity statement that should be made? Is it a diversity statement enough to kind of like say, hey, I work with all sorts of people and I specialize in help tailoring experiences to whatever your needs are, or does it need to be something more? The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur is brought to you by Mailbox Power. Harness the power to attract and nurture your clients through something many entrepreneurs have forgotten about, the mailbox. Create beautiful custom campaigns and automate annual mailings for birthdays and holidays. And with a pro account, get access to mailboxes not currently on your mailing list that are just waiting for the travel service you offer. Visit my Mailbox Power affiliate link in the show notes to get started today and support this podcast. Because I know I want to put diverse images, but should I also have a statement about
right? That? So I always tell people, like, if you go on my website, I'm not gonna lie, I don't have a diversity statement on my website. And I'm not saying you have to. Some people love it. It's really kind of up to you. I say that creating a diversity and inclusion statement is great, and it can never hurt. Just, sweet, short, to the point, that we don't discriminate, where everybody is welcome. That's always a great thing to have on your website. On top of that, like, I think in my emails, I've even had to switch up. I'm putting she, her, and hers. I would have never done that 5-10 years ago. And now that's something like, oh, now that I know better, now I'm trying to do better. So now I've just changed my signature, little simple things. Like, what is one action that we can commit to today? It doesn't have to be going cold turkey on everything and going to every supplier. Like, if you don't change your marketing brochures, I'm not going to book you anymore. Like, right. No. Or even with your host agency or your consortium, when you're getting in groups, like, have you sent them a letter? Have you spoken to your agency owner about, hey, what's going on here? It's just little things. I don't want to put people over the edge or make them feel like they have to change who they are and do all this stuff. But again, it goes back to, if you're really trying to serve a diverse audience and really trying to do better, you're going to do everything you can, right? It's just like in your business, you want to be successful. So there are people that are going to listen to podcasts. There are going to be people that do the courses. There are going to be people that hire a business coach. So that's the same thing with diverse. Like, I'm pushing the ball a little further up the court. So whether you want to hire someone to help you, bring them into your business and say, how, what do I need to change? A diversity and inclusion, a D&I consultant is 100% on board. Like, for huge companies, that's the number one thing, because even if you hire me or I come in and help you with your marketing and go over trainings and work with your team, literally that's putting a Band-Aid, or that's going to help you to get over the hump today. But as far as future and growth and really building at the core of who your company is and ingrain it in your values and mission, you need someone that's like, can basically, like, I don't want to say blow your thing up or like burn it down.
But that's kind of what's needed.
Yeah, but that's kind of what you need, to burn it to the ground and have someone that's there to support you and willing to hold your hand, not to criticize or be like, and you don't do this and you are right. Like, no. It's really about being that bridge and seeing where you want to go, but you have to be willing to do the work. It's just like when you want to lose weight, you can't still eat 20 donuts a day and expect change. I'm going to eat 20 donuts and then for dinner, just have a salad. What? But that doesn't mean that all I want you to do is work out 100 times a day, 7 days a week, and only eat salad and never have a cookie. Exactly. So it's a balance, but you're also going to do what you can do and what you know how to do at this point. Right. It's just like you say, you're talking about it, but the first step is awareness and us talking about it. Then we're going to move from that talking and conversation to action. Right. But we have to start somewhere. Like, babies don't walk before they crawl. So I don't expect people to just come in and know everything that they need to know. And just next day, they've changed a couple of pictures on their website and they put a diversity statement on there and now they're good to go.
Yeah.
It's a every day, it's a learning, it's one of those things that you're going to continually work on, because your bias is like, you don't even know what you don't know. There's things that you do. They've even said that
Right.
people hire people that look like them.
Right.
I
No,
mean,
you say that, and I remember one of the first things I had seen. Oh, what is it? Coming to America, and I've watched Coming to America before. There was a scene. I'm trying to think of it. No, it wasn't Coming to America. It was one of the vacation movies with Chevy Chase. And there was a scene where they're strolling or they're driving through the hood. And of course, they have like the stereotypical Black drug dealers. And even that in media, it just made me feel very icky, very not right watching something like that. Whereas I don't think if I would have had that awareness, I would have felt like that. But there's small changes that start happening once you start putting yourself out there and seeing from this different lens, from this new lens.
Yes, I think that's National Lampoon's Vacation.
Yes, one of those. Yes.
Yeah, probably one of those. Yeah. But another thing that I've started doing even more is working with those smaller suppliers that usually travel leaders or virtual ones, like they don't have the money to buy into some of these big consortiums and give them that. They're just starting. So I'm looking at those hotels that might be Black owned or minority owned or women owned, or those tour operators. Like Tulum is very hot right now, trendy. Everybody wants to go there. And I had a client that wanted to do a yacht. Well, there's tons of yachts, but I chose a Black owned company that just started and launched that. So it's those type of things. Building out the partnerships with people that you want to work with and help support. That's another way. Like, oh, you might have a favorite hotel in this one destination, but you've heard about this new hotel and you set up an appointment to talk with them and you really like what you're doing. So maybe next time you don't go to that same hotel you always go to. Maybe you give this one a try.
Right.
There's other businesses out there. We just need to know about them. They need to be promoted. They need, the access to us to share with our clients.
Yes. Yeah. Cause I was seeing an article recently about more Black people preferring to stay with Black hoteliers. And so reading that, I was like, well, how do I find out? And I know a couple people in the hospitality industry, but is there like an association? Is there a listing somewhere? Like where can I find information? Or is there like, has someone created a website, like the top diverse companies in the hospitality industry or something like that?
Yes. So there is one. So Travel and Leisure just did an article. They've been doing a lot better. Like everything's coming out and they're like, such and such Black owned hotels you should support, or this amazing Black owned hotels to book your next trip, or Travel Noir is a great blog that you can follow that comes out with different things. But I don't want to mess it up. I want to say it's NABHood, or it's the Black Hotel. Yeah, the association, and they'll tell you all the Black hotels in the US and what they have even abroad.
Okay.
So that's another resource that you can look at. Another thing is I always tell people to follow the Black Travel Alliance. They're content creators in that space, but since everything that has happened, they're really trying to push the needle. It's not necessarily on the travel agency side, but they have a lot of great content. They've been doing research. They've been capturing like brands that are like, they grade people from an A to F on marketing. Yeah, Martinique Lewis, she's a diversity and travel consultant herself. And like, if you go to her website, like she has reports on travel brands. Like she's like, pull up for travel, who's doing things right, who's not, who we're going to call out, that type of thing. So that's interesting to me. Like, I love to look at that and like, whoa, who's doing good? Like, who do we need to like really give a shout out? And like, who are some brands that we might need to back off from,
Right. No, that is a really great point.
Yeah. And she even has a book. It's ABC Travel Guide, Amazon book. I have it obviously somewhere. I'm in the process of moving, but like it gives you tons of experience, specifically Black experience to have abroad. So like if you go to Amsterdam, if they want to have an experience that takes them through African culture and history, then she has put that together. Resource like name, phone number, address, like the book, like she's done an amazing job, I will say, like with putting things together.
That's
as a resource.
That's really incredible because another one of kind of like the labels that I wear is that I have an autoimmune disease. And going into huge flares, I'm on a very strict diet to kind of make sure that my inflammation doesn't go over certain markers. And as a traveler, that is incredibly tough. And I'm going on my first trip, and it's kind of like, I'm nervous about it, but I'm also like, ooh, let's see. Because there's the supplier that I'm going with, I know food-wise I'll be taken care of, but what about different restaurants? There's no like real directory in that kind of sense. So, and when you had mentioned about the bath products, I was like, yeah, those are other things, like chemical-free products that are not available at the hotels, most hotels. Like if I find it at a hotel, I'm like, oh, it's like a
I know that's
surprise.
Yeah. It's just like we have friends who are vegan. You know, like that's what people don't realize. Like it's more than just X or Y. It's really making people feel welcome with the choices that they have to make for themselves. Does that make sense? Like in their life. And I just think that in the past, the ads and promotions that have been put out have been trash. You know, social media puts the blonde hair, blue eyes girl on the beach sipping Mai Tais. That's not, and to me, it's not even just the diversity part, but as a brand, if that's all you have to sell, just think in the Caribbean, everybody can have Mai Tais on the beach. Like your destination is way more than just your beach. You should be producing content and marketing of value that where people really are like, wow, I want to go here. Like, and it's shown that minorities, a lot of their travel is group travel. It's cultural travel, cultural heritage travel. So if you're not showcasing that, then they're not seeing what you have to offer them. Again, I don't want to like just go down a list as far as like ads and social media and like your traditional media, but like programs and events in the travel space and who they bring and how they highlight it, the conferences, even like we'll see fam trips, influencer trips. It's all the same people. You know what I mean? Like we've got to do better.
Yes.
Yeah, just the overall sensitivity to diversity in this space. Like how, if I'm a traveler, like how would you rank? You know, I would love to see how they think or what they would rank themselves even, you know.
Right. No, and
everything they've done.
Yeah, no, thinking about that too, seeing images in media, it's always the Hispanic or the Black people who are serving the guests of the resort, something as simple as that. And again, it's just something now that makes me feel icky. That's like, no, that's not the only thing that people like us can do. Like we can be the CEOs of corporations. We don't have to. Why are you still portraying only those types of images?
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, they said that 190 billion was spent by Black travel, but really over 200 and something billion for Muslim travel. But I never see any Muslim travelers on ads or any marketing. Have you? I mean, besides if you're going to Abu Dhabi or Dubai or Saudi Arabia, but like I never see any Muslim travelers, and they're the biggest spenders. And matter of fact, Asian women are they're like over $1 trillion. So Asian women are the biggest spender in travel, period. Muslim travel is second. Then you have like 190 billion for Black travel. But like, just from what I said, between Black travel spend and Muslim travel spend, which I never see them, but they spend over like 220 billion. That's more than Black travel. What about plus size travelers? You know, like Asian travelers. I know you mentioned like with an illness, there's this one girl that I love. Her name's Olivia Christine, and she does a lot of stuff with traveling with a chronic illness. And you can see her through her Instagram. And the things that she focuses on. Blind travel. People don't focus on, there are people that are traveling who are blind. Like there's something, you know, like, wow. Like that's what I want people to know. It's not just again, I know it seems like we're just saying Black or white.
Right.
But there's a lot more to diversity. I mean, ageism is big. How many times do you see young people put on their marketing, but you never see that 60-year-old, you know, Latina woman with her Mai Tai and her bikini? Why?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you get a certain age, you're not sexy anymore. You're not cool. You don't travel.
Right.
Sustainability is big. I always follow. Have you heard of Ashley Renee? Her handle's like, hey. Yeah, you should. Yeah, it's hey. So I think her Instagram is Hey Ashley Renee. She does a whole thing on sustainability in travel. I mean, that's huge. There's several different markets that I just named where people are doing big things, and there are companies that is just kind of forgotten that again, these are dynamic people. They're knowledgeable people that can provide like tons of insights. for travel brands, especially if they're looking, again, it all comes down to how diverse and how inclusive do you want your brand to be? What are things that we can do today to help us move the needle? And there's several different niches that people are doing wonderful work in.
Right. No, and I think one final point before we have to jump off is I feel like host agencies and agency owners need to, just from that conversation, because when you mentioned Muslim, I'm like, I don't even think I've seen any Muslim colleagues, any Muslim travel agents in the area. So I think that's something when host agencies and agency owners are trying to hire on or trying to add independent contractors, they have a really big part in this. Not just, I don't feel like we can put it just on ourselves as independent agents or even just the suppliers, but those people who are attracting more people to the industry need to take some responsibility as well.
I definitely agree. The hiring has to change. And that means we have to hire outside of our circles. Kind of going back to what we said before of your circle influence is not big enough, you know, and if you want to hire a Muslim to work for you, work with you, where are they? You have to be where you want the people are. It's just like luxury clients. If I'm looking for luxury clients, where do luxury clients? And they're not all at the country club, you know, like where you've got to go where they are. If I'm looking for cruisers, where do cruisers hang out? You know, like where the older people have to go into their circles.
Right. No,
that requires you to do some work.
Right.
Like, they're not just going to come to you.
Yes. Man, no, and I just want to keep talking to you all day, but we are out of time. So I would love to have you on at some point in the future so that we can keep this conversation going. How can people reach out to you and stay in touch with you if they'd like to learn a little bit more or work with you?
Yes, so they can go to my website. It is www.compass-collective.com. Follow me. I'm on LinkedIn. That's my biggest thing. I'm not a big social media like I have at Travel Bash for my company and pictures, but the best way, I say LinkedIn, Courtnie Nichols, and then hop over to my website, fill out the form and let us, you know, kind of connect, talk, follow up via email. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everyone, I hope that you have gotten something that you can take back and start tweaking within your business to be just a little bit more diverse. Have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you guys next week on the podcast. Thanks for joining me on The Strategic Travel Entrepreneur. Please subscribe and leave a show rating on your favorite podcast platform. Oh, and don't forget to take a look at the show notes for important information and links. See you next week.